All right, class, so we are back for learning objective 4.8. And so, with this objective, we are to be able to define and fully understand the definition of tolerance, dependence, and how it relates to addiction. So, we're going to talk a lot about psychoactive drugs and how one develops a tolerance. Okay, so super important for you to remember the definition of psychoactive drugs rather, which is a substance that influence the brain and thereby an individual's behavior. So psychoactive drugs very much affect one's cognition as well as their physical body. Oftentimes, people are, or let me back up, when people think about psychoactive drugs, they commonly think of the hard stuff: marijuana, ecstasy, cocaine, things of that nature. But they rarely look at things like caffeine, which could be horrible for your health, as well as things like Sudafed or things like the herbal remedies that people take for weight loss or even for a cold. All of that falls within the definition of a psychoactive drug. So let's take a particular drug or psychoactive drug that people commonly use, which could be caffeine. For the most part, people may start out drinking 1 cup of coffee to receive some form of a desired effect. But then, over a prolonged period of time, that person starts to develop a tolerance. It's really important for you to remember the definition of tolerance. So, tolerance in respect to psychoactive drugs is a condition in which, after repeated use, one requires more of that drug to receive or to achieve the initial effect that one received. So somebody can start out with 1 cup of coffee and just feel like they're just bouncing off the wall and just super alert. But then over 6 months to a year or however long, the person may require more coffee. They may now require 3 cups of coffee for that initial effect that they have. So, tolerance. What people need to understand is that tolerance oftentimes is coupled with one developing a dependence. Substance dependence is a serious thing, and we must talk about it. But let's clear up the definition. So, substance dependence is a condition in which a person needs a drug in order to maintain normal functions. And we can also relate caffeine usage and abuse to substance dependence. A lot of people fail to acknowledge that they have some form of a dependence with caffeine. If you were to remove caffeine from, let's say, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your parents just for 2 days, you will start to notice that that person that you removed caffeine from is going to start to show some form of withdrawal symptoms. They're going to show some form of physical or behavioral effects that secondary from having that said drug removed. You will also find that that person's normal level of functioning will decline, which indicates that that's a substance dependence. But let me break it down again. So, substance dependence is when a person needs that drug in order to function normally. They need that cup of coffee or that Diet Dr. Pepper in order for them to manage throughout the day. Commonly, if they pretty much refrain from caffeine for several hours, then they'll start to notice some form of withdrawal symptoms. And they'll start to just really feel yucky. So psychoactive drugs is serious, and people need to be aware that even caffeine and even sugar affects their brain, thereby their behavior, so it makes it a psychoactive drug. So that is it for 4.8. Our next video will be very power packed because we're going to talk about the different categories of drugs. See you soon. Bye-bye.